Good morning, everybody. It's Shelby Forsythia coming at you with another one of my Wednesday live videos. And today I have a question for you. And that question is, do you know someone who is bitter? Yeah, of course you do. We all do. This person could be a relative or a friend or a coworker. Bitterness is kind of everywhere. It's kind of rampant. And characteristics of bitter people is that they tell the same stories of victimization, of betrayal, of heartbreak, of screwed overness, of anger, of things will never change. These people are convinced that their past determines their future and that they can't trust people and that history is doomed to repeat itself, or that they are smarter or wiser or somehow at an advantage because they are bitter. Life is hard and they've got it all figured out. They accuse the people around them, and maybe even you, of being too hopeful or of having too much faith or of being naive. And you can have too much faith in people, you can have too much faith in nature, you can have too much faith in the system, you can have too much faith in the world in general, according to them. And they're quick to find examples of situations that fulfill their beliefs about being bitter, that reinforce their story, that reinforce bitterness for them. So bitterness is a cycle, and it can go on for a very long time. And the hard thing about bitter people is that they drain the people around them because they're without hope, they're without faith, they're without power, personal power, and they're convinced that life is one way, and they're stuck there mentally and emotionally. They might move through the motions of day-to-day life. They might look functioning, even high functioning, but in their minds, in their hearts, nothing changes, and no one changes, and they're closed off a lot of the time to listening or to changing or to loving. And before I get you on the I hate bitter people train, let me offer you something. What I want to offer you today is a reframing of bitterness, a reframing of crotchety or negative or pessimistic. And that reframing of bitterness is grieving. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. What if I told you that bitter people are people who are grieving? What if I told you that bitter people are people who relive pain and relive hurt because they don't know what else to do with it? What if I told you that bitter people are people who relive pain and hurt because they don't want to face it, or because they're afraid of being hurt again? People have a tendency to carry their pain with them if they don't know what else to do with it. And how does that pain express itself? Through bitterness. Through a hardened heart. Through believing everything is fine now that the lesson is learned and the ugly truth has come to light. How do I know, though? How can I sit here and speak on behalf of bitter people? Because I myself have been bitter. I have been angry. I have been hateful and resentful and more than willing on multiple occasions to drudge up the past, to prove a point, or to make an excuse, or to avoid something or someone new. I have been more than willing to let bitterness dictate my life. My bitterness stories revolve a lot around judgment and non-acceptance. The biggest story of which is that my mom did not accept my identity as pansexual before she died. I love all people, regardless of gender expression, and that's something that we could never see eye to eye on. Things like my wedding day, or my future family, or my relationship with my family, were kind of tinged with the feeling that I let her down, or that I was doing the wrong thing, that I was not good enough, as myself. I was left after she died with memories of being told that I was going to hell, a belief that I could never pick the right partner, and a belief that whoever I met in the future, no matter how much they said they loved me, didn't really love me or wouldn't accept me, not all of me. Because of that, I lived about a year of like surface level life. I went through the motions of working, going out, even trying on a couple of relationships, but I was emotionally incapable of believing that people really wanted to be with me, that I was accepted and loved, that I could take people at their word, that I could trust them. Why? Because I was bitter. Bitterness is an indicator of unresolved grief. All of these things I believed, all these stories about my mom and my identity and acceptance and love, all of these were related to grief statements that hadn't been expressed, things that I hadn't felt through, because in that moment I was much more content being angry and hard and unfeeling than I was looking at my feelings and facing them. I thought that looking at those emotions and working through that pain would be the last straw that kind of broke me. I thought that examining my mom's death and her life when she was alive would make me even more bitter and angry than I already was. And at the end of the day, ultimately, I thought I was too tired or too weak or too depressed to face any more pain. I didn't think that I had it in me. So what dissolved bitterness in me was a journey through grief. I stopped using my mom's death and lack of acceptance towards me as a heart hardener towards other people. So looking at my feelings, expressing my anger, expressing my pain, even screaming at times, reminded me that it was okay to feel screwed over. There was some validation in that because I was screwed over. Anyone who has experienced any kind of loss has been screwed over because it freaking hurts. It's not fair. It's not for any of us that we should have to experience loss. And being able to say that out loud instead of internalizing it, believe it or not, letting my emotions encompass me so much that I fell to the floor sobbing. I experienced the longest hug I have ever received in my entire life. I wrote until my hands were literally shaking as I was writing. That's what set me free. Doing the work of grief recovery is what set me free. I believe that I'm not bitter because I've said everything there is to say. I don't have to keep proving a point. I don't have to keep living a belief because I have said it. I have said it in the right way, and I've said it to the person who most needs to hear it, which in this case is my mom. And all this might sound crazy to you, but this is what I do with my clients. This is the process that I work through with my clients. This is the work that I've done for myself. This is the work that's helped so many people live their lives free from bitterness or even preventing bitterness or like this pent-up anger. And I am so grateful that it exists because I don't want to be bitter. That was a crappy year. That was a crappy feeling to walk around with. And I don't want to see other people bitter either. Because bitter people don't change. They don't flow with life. They're stuck, and they kind of stay stuck until they're ready to face whatever it is that hurt them or whoever it is that hurt them. Not up close and not in person, but emotionally and energetically and ultimately honestly. The cure for bitterness lies in the tools and the knowledge that we have to face loss and grief and change. it lies in accepting that all of these things are going to happen within our lifetimes. The number one mark of bitterness is stagnancy, rigidity, and inflexibility. So if you're living in the past, or you know someone who is, if you know someone who's using their hurts to justify their hearts, know and recognize that they are still grieving a loss. Whether that loss is a relationship or a series of relationships, whether that loss is an actual death, whether that was a loss of safety or a lack of acceptance or a job or a pet or a dream or a project or a promotion or a plan. We can lose so many things and as a result become bitter towards them. So know that bitter people are grieving. See that in them, and maybe forgive them a little bit for that bitterness. Soften your heart a little bit to that. Because what they're feeling is not really stubbornness. It's not really righteousness. It's not really revenge. It's pain. And it's hurt, and it's fear, and it's loss, and it's grief. So if you're looking for ways to listen to or make space for the emotions of people who are experiencing a loss or people who are grieving, I have an online course called How to Be Present with Other People's Pain. The link is in the description below. It's the tool that I use to be present, not just with my clients, but with anyone I meet who's expressing pain or hurt or fear. Excuse me. If you liked what you heard this week and you feel like other people should hear it, give this video a like or a comment or share this video to get the word out to others. Just wanted to let you know also that I'll be traveling next week sans Wi-Fi, so I will not be doing a live video next week. Something will happen, but I haven't decided what it is yet, so you'll see. I'll be back with you live on December 14th, which is, again, a Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. As always, thank you so much for sharing this space with me. I'll see you next time.